On page 9, I'm going to be reading about subtracting decimal numbers. Subtracting. So, it's related to addition, but it is the inverse of addition. When subtracting decimal numbers, line up the decimal points just as you did with addition. Regroup just as you would with whole numbers. So I'm going to find my verbs. It's telling me what to do when I'm subtracting numbers with decimal points in them. Line up the decimal points. It's telling me to line up the decimal points because subtraction is governed by the unit rule. I have to subtract whole numbers from whole numbers, and hundredths from hundredths, and tenths from tenths. I have to line up the decimal points because of the unit rule. Then it's telling me regroup. So I might need to rewrite the number just as you would with whole numbers. The regrouping is the same. So there's only 2 steps that they've given me to follow, and I'm going to make sure that I follow both. I'm going to study the example. 4 3/10 minus 3 2/10. So step 1 is you line up the decimal points because of the unit rule. So 4 3/10, 4 3/10, minus 3 2/10. See that the decimal points are lined up. And then you just subtract. You don't need to regroup this. So 4 minus 3 is 1. Decimal point, loud and proud, happy to exist as a decimal point. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So 1 1/10. 7 4/10 minus 2 1/10. 7 4/10 minus 2 1/10. Got to keep those decimal points lined up. Equals blank. There's no regrouping, and so 7 whole units minus 2 whole units is 5 whole units. Decimal point, loud and proud, happy to exist as a decimal point. 4/10 minus 1/10 is 3/10. 16 25/100 minus 8 11/100. 16 25/100 minus, it's a subtraction problem, 8 11/100. So I'm going to rewrite it to solve it, and I'm going to line up my decimal points. 16 25/100 minus 8 11/100. I have my units lined up with my units, my tenths lined up with my tenths, and my hundredths lined up with my hundredths. Now I can subtract. There's no regrouping necessary. 16 minus 8 is 8. Decimal point, loud and proud, happy to exist as a decimal point. 2 minus 1 is 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. So 8 14/100. All right, the rest of this page you may or may not have to regroup. So keep a lookout for that. As a matter of fact, let's do... No, let me know if you have any problems with this. Just leave me a comment in the video below.